How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today I'm really excited because we're going to be taking a look at Outlaw Star. Outlaw Star is a 26-episode anime from 1998. The show is created by Hajime Yatate and stars Ayako Kawasumi, Rico Matsumoto, and Shigeru Shibuya. This was based on a manga by Takehiko Ito, and I do want to say, if this manga was ever printed in English, it was sadly a super limited and now out of print run. If there's anyone watching that does manga distribution, I would so love a hardcover copy of this. I would love to read it. But that's beside the point. Let's get back to the review and actually focus on the anime. Outlaw Star, there's kind of this thing that people joke around with a bit, and that is that this is a space western anime that came out in 1998, the same year that Cowboy Bebop came out, which was a much more famous space western anime. And the thing with this is we all know, yeah, Cowboy Bebop's better. Cowboy Bebop's way, way better. It's an absolute classic. But sometimes we just want to kick back, relax, and watch some Outlaw Star. And that's the thing, like, Outlaw Star, it wasn't the biggest and best anime ever, but there's something about it. Something about it that really did click. The characters were a little better, the worlds were a little more breathed in than a lot of other shows. And it was just fun. Like, that's the thing with this show. No two ways about it. It's just super fun and enjoyable to watch. I have it on DVD with this Anime Legends collection. Yeah, Anime Legends. That's a good way to describe it. You're gonna want the DVD because you're gonna want to periodically put it in again and revisit it. It's just somehow, it is just so fun to watch, you know? It does cool, crazy, over-the-top things. You're on an intergalactic treasure hunt being chased by pirates. The pirates know Tao magic, but the main character has a gun that can shoot magic, and it is one of the coolest weapons in anime history. The caster gun, a cool gun where it has a bunch of different bullets, they're all different numbers, that have stored actual magic. You put them in, the engines will whirl, a big explosion of light. Whenever this thing fires, it's awesome. But yeah, you have the caster gun, and the ship also has grappler arms, mech arms that can pop out of the ship, and you can actually get into fistfights in space, which sounds stupid, but it's not. It's cool, trust me on that. Somehow, it absolutely works. And that's the thing with this show, is it has such a good balance. It can be cheesy, but it's not really stupid. It'll be silly, it'll tell jokes, but there is a dramatic heart to it, and things are taken seriously. The characters are big and over the top, but somehow play against each other really naturally and do feel well defined. In the galaxy here, seeing all these elaborate drawings of planets and buildings and ships, it's good to look at, but also well thought out. As you watch the show, it never asks you to do a homework assignment, but you start to learn about the different planetary systems. You start to learn that there's 6 known races of intelligent creatures. You start to learn, like, there's a tiny thing I noticed in this rewatch, where if you pause this form in the first episode, you can figure out this show takes place in 2011. And at first I thought, that's silly, this obviously didn't happen in 2011. But then you fast forward to a few episodes down the line, and it references the Munchausen space drive, which is what allows them to travel faster than light. And it says that that created the galactic error. So it's not 2011 AD, it's 2011 from when the faster than light travel was invented. And that is a super interesting little detail. The closest this really does to exposition is the beginning of the episodes are usually this narrator with a super cool voice, and he'll talk about how the galaxy works, but also just kind of muse on life a little bit. It's super great to get you into the mood for this show, and yeah, it's just part of the show's magic. Again, it's not the biggest, most elaborate show, but there's so many people that have a good, strong sense of nostalgia for this one. And I totally see that. This is all the tropes of late 90s anime that made everything so special. And it's just a good sample of that time. And it's just such a cool world with cool characters, cool planets, and cool elements. It definitely... check this one out. Anyway, I want to dig in a little bit deeper. I'm going to go ahead and talk a bit about the plot, a bit about the characters, a bit about the various elements. I'm not going to do any major spoilers, and I'll be avoiding the end of the show, but I do want to take a moment to analyze it a little deeper and talk a bit primarily about the setup. Anyway, we open up with two of our leads already together. We have Gene Starwind, who is kind of a prototypical protagonist. He's young and scrappy, ton of scars to show that he's been through adventures. And his backstory is really interesting. One of the last things his father did was throw him in an escape pod, and that crash landed on this planet he's on right now. His father died in space, and in turn, he kind of has a longing to go back there, but also a fear of space, which is a good dichotomy to start this character on. And then you have Jim Hawking, who isn't biologically his younger brother, but is basically his younger brother, and the two play off of each other so well. He's much more serious, and whenever Gene slacks off, he has to kind of pick things up and get things moving. And the two have a business doing odd jobs on this backwater planet they're both stuck on, and one day they take a job for a seemingly innocent lady who wants a bodyguard. But why are the pirates attacking her? Well, it turns out she's actually Hilda, a legendary outlaw, and that's where we get the three main factions of the show. It's not black and white, good and evil. You have the Space Force, which... yeah, that came true, actually. You have the Space Force, which represents law and order, and then you have the Pirates, which represents evil and chaos, and the Pirates will have their own little factions, and the same with the Space Force. But then you have the Outlaws, who want to go about things their own way, carve out their own life. They're not necessarily good or evil, but they don't align with the major factions, and they just want to do their own thing. Very libertarian of them. But that's what Hilda is, and it turns out the pirates are after her because she stole the XGP, a spaceship made specifically for finding the galactic ley line, which is this ancient thing that they'd never seen. They've only found out about it through ruins. And apparently, there's some amazing treasure hidden there, and this is the ship designed to find that treasure. Well, after this adventure, Gene winds up with the XGP, which, being an outlaw himself, he will rename to the Outlaw Star. And he is going to go and look for the treasure because he needs to carve out his own life, and everybody's chasing him to the treasure anyway. But because he didn't start this mission, he knows less about it than other people. And in turn, the person with the key has the least amount of knowledge to get there. He also does assemble a crew along the way, and I really do like the classic ragtag group of people from a bunch of different backgrounds. With the ship, he also meets Melfina. Melfina is a bio-android who is designed to use the advanced functions of the ship, but because she was created, she constantly questions who she is, what her creators wanted from her, and what she's supposed to do with her life. An interesting, well-developed character there. We also get Suzuka, who's a professional assassin whose skills are so good they basically border on magic, even though she says she's not magic. So the cool, sleek, tough girl there. And then we also get Aisha, who's a super fun character. She's from the Qatar, and they're basically cat people, and she claims to be invincible, and she'll have super strength. So, if you guys are fans of Chainsaw Man, very much in the same vein as, say, Power. And they're a fun group of people, but they don't come together right away. And that's what I really like about this show. Like, you'll see Aisha for quite a few times before she actually joins the crew, and it does a good job of kind of meandering a little bit, because you don't just jump in the ship and go to the ley line. You have to work up, you have to build the crew, you have to do odd jobs along the way just for money. Sometimes beg Fred Lau for money. And that's the thing, is like, there's so many times where it's like, your biggest obstacle is just, I have to pay dock fees and repairs. And I do like just how it slowly builds and gets there. It doesn't rush things. It doesn't go too slow. But we do get the sense that we're building up and getting ready for our big adventure. And it does a good job of keeping the main arc in several little arcs, as well as several little episodes that are unrelated. So you get a period where they're on Sentinel 3, the beginning part, where they're meeting Hilda and stuff. It's not just the first episode, it's the first couple episodes there. And then you'll get Blue Haven, and then you'll get where they're on Haefong. And they'll do different little mini arcs, and they'll also have just standalone episodes, you know. The Outlaw Star, we have to enter it into a race. We have to go to an agent pyramid on this weird planet in the middle of nowhere. We have to break out of prison on a planet with extreme gravity. And there's the weird episode with the cactus, but we won't talk about that one. I'll let you experience it on your own. But another good example is towards the end of the show, episode 23, there's a hot springs planet, and it seems to be just a silly, jokey episode for just fan service. But then, when you dig into what this planet really is and who's there, you actually find out some super interesting information and get some really important items that you're gonna definitely need along the way. So I really do love the structure. And of course, we'll meet some villains along the way too. The space pirates are always super cool. There's a whole bunch of them, you know, there's the big ones, and they all have their unique designs, you know, the chief big bad pirate with this super big headdress and mask. But what I really like are the little ones. Like, there's these little drone characters with these long arms and claws and these white face masks. That was such a cool design. But in addition to the space pirates, you have the McDougal brothers, which is such a fun name for characters, the McDougal brothers. And it's like they work for the pirates doing this job, and when they hear the treasure, they strike out to get it on their own, and in turn they become this other faction of people. But the younger McDougal brother is also a bio-android, and he's desperately in love with Malphina because it's like the only other one of his kind, and it's this almost Phantom of the Opera story. It's pretty great, but we will eventually get to the big trippy ending, and it is big and over the top and crazy, and you get to the end having done this whole big adventure, and you kind of feel like a little tired. You're like, whoa, oh, we just went to the edge of space and back, wow. And I do have to say, I really love this show. It's a shame it only got 26 episodes, because if this had been a show that had just run forever with hundreds and hundreds, it would have been super, super cool, and I would have loved to see all the different planets and characters you could have met along the way. But as it stands, it's really great. I would love if they did a revival movie or something. It's just all the cool, fun stuff you could imagine from both the space western subgenre and the late 90s anime genre just put together, and even though it's not a perfect artistic masterpiece, it's just one of the funner shows out there, and I can definitely recommend it. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This is probably my anime playlist. I am working on filling that out. Should have Chainsaw Man and some Studio Ghibli in there, but I'm working on getting more animation. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.